Hey there! Welcome back to English Zone. You know, when people talk about speaking English fluently, they usually imagine something big. Perfect sentences, fast talking, no mistakes, no thinking. But real life doesn't work that way, right? Let's be honest. Sometimes you know exactly what you want to say, and yet, the moment you open your mouth, your brain just goes blank. It's like all the English you've ever learned decides to take a little vacation right when you need it most. You're not broken. It happens to everyone. The problem isn't that you don't know enough English. It's that your brain is working too hard. It's trying to do everything at once. Remember words, fix grammar, control pronunciation, and make sure you don't sound silly. That's a lot of pressure for one conversation. No wonder your words get stuck halfway out. People think fluency means speed. They see native speakers talking quickly and think, I'll never be like that. But fluency isn't about speed. It's about flow. It's when the words keep moving, even if they're not perfect. You can speak slowly and still sound fluent. In fact, even native speakers pause all the time. They say, you know, like, because that's how real people talk. Nobody sounds like a dictionary. One of my students once told me, "Teacher, I understand everything, but when I try to speak, nothing comes out." And I said, it's not because your English is bad, it's because you're too busy judging yourself. That's the truth for most learners. You know the words, you just don't trust them yet. You wait for the perfect sentence before speaking, and by the time you find it, the conversation's already over. Fluency starts when you stop chasing perfection. It's not about learning new words every day. It's about using what you already know without fear. It's letting the language breathe through you, mistakes and all. So if you ever feel stuck, take a deep breath, forget perfect, speak anyway. Because fluency doesn't appear one day like magic, it grows every time you dare to open your mouth. You know that moment when you're about to speak English and your brain suddenly feels like a computer with too many tabs open? You can hear the fan spinning, you can feel the lag, and then nothing? That's what happens when your brain is busy translating everything. It's like you're trying to speak through a traffic jam of words. Most learners don't realize this, but the brain can't really switch between two languages fast. When you hear a question in English, your mind wants to translate it first, think of the answer in your own language, and then translate it back to English again. By the time you're ready to speak, the other person has already changed the topic. And you're left there thinking, oh, I knew that word. Why couldn't I say it? It's not because you're slow. It's because your brain is still using the old road. You learned English through your first language, and that road is full of traffic lights. Fluency happens when you build a new road, a direct one, from thought to English, no translation in between. How do you build that? You start small. Talk to yourself in English during simple moments. When you're making breakfast, say what you're doing. I'm making coffee. This toast smells good. When you're walking outside, describe what you see. The sky looks beautiful today. I'm waiting for the bus. These small lines might seem nothing, but they're powerful. They train your brain to think directly in English. You can also listen more, but not just listen, imitate. Repeat what you hear from movies or short videos. Shadow the rhythm, the melody, the pauses. Don't just copy the words, copy the feeling of how it's said. The goal is not to sound perfect, but to feel natural with the sound of English in your mouth. And please, stop fighting with grammar when you're speaking. Grammar is a great tool for writing or checking your sentences later, but in real conversations, it only slows you down. Let it go. Let your English flow, messy, fast, real. Because fluency doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from letting go of the need to control everything. You know what's funny? Most English learners already know enough words to speak fluently. They've watched hundreds of videos, read so many tips, maybe even passed grammar tests with good scores. But when it's time to speak, they freeze. Not because they don't know the words, but because they don't trust themselves to use them. Confidence is the missing piece. You don't need a bigger vocabulary. You need a louder voice in your own head that says, it's okay to speak. Think about it. How many times have you stayed quiet because you were afraid of saying something wrong? Maybe you thought, my pronunciation isn't good enough. Or, what if they laugh at my grammar? That little fear grows bigger each time you stay silent. But confidence doesn't come after you become fluent. It comes before. You have to speak first, and the confidence grows from there. It's like going to the gym. You can't wait to feel strong before you start lifting weights. You start small, and strength comes later. One of my students once told me she wanted to practice speaking, but didn't have anyone to talk to. So I said, "Great, talk to yourself." She laughed, but she tried it, speaking to her mirror for 5 minutes every night. After a week, she said, "I still make mistakes, but now I don't care so much." That's progress. That's confidence. The truth is, fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to be imperfect in public. Every mistake you make is a sign that you're doing the real work. Nobody learns to swim by reading about water. You have to jump in. So stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect words, the perfect accent. There's no such thing. The only way to sound fluent is to start speaking with the English you already have. You'll be surprised how quickly your words catch up with your courage. Some students think the secret to fluency is memory. They spend hours memorizing vocabulary lists, repeating grammar rules, writing down 10 new words every day. But here's the truth. You can memorize 1,000 words and still not be able to use them in a real conversation. The brain doesn't work like a notebook. It doesn't care how many words you've written down. It only remembers what you use. Think about it. When you first learned your native language, you didn't memorize lists. You learned through use, hearing, copying, making mistakes, and trying again. Fluency grows from repetition in real life, not repetition on paper. Many students tell me, "Teacher, I study every day, but I still can't speak." And I always ask, how do you study? Usually, the answer is the same. Reading, writing, listening, but never using. Learning and using are not the same thing. Learning fills your head. Using trains your mouth, your ears, your rhythm. Try this. Instead of memorizing 20 new words today, pick 3 and make them part of your life. Use them in sentences. Talk about your day using them, or write a short message to yourself. The goal is not to know many words. The goal is to make a few words yours. You can also practice with short speaking challenges. For example, choose a random topic like my weekend or my favorite food and talk for 1 minute without stopping. It doesn't matter if it's messy. It's like exercising your speaking muscles. The more you move them, the stronger they get. And please, don't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel ready. The more you use English, the more your brain learns that it's safe to speak. Real fluency is not a result of perfect study, it's the result of imperfect practice done again and again. So stop memorizing and start using. Talk to yourself. Make small mistakes. Repeat words in real situations. That's how English becomes part of you, not just something you study, but something you live. If you think about it, speaking is a lot like exercise. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The less you do it, the heavier it feels. Your mouth, your tongue, even your brain, they're all muscles that need training. But most English learners only train one part, the brain. They fill it with words, grammar, and rules, but they forget to move the part that actually speaks. Imagine trying to learn to play the guitar by only reading about chords. You could study every song in the world, but if you never touch the strings, you'll never make music. Speaking English works the same way. You have to make sound again and again until your mouth remembers how it feels. One of the best ways to do that is to talk to yourself. It sounds strange at first, I know, but it's one of the most powerful ways to train your speaking muscle. You don't need anyone to listen. Just pick a small moment, maybe while cooking, walking, or showering, and speak out loud. Describe what you're doing, what you're thinking, or how your day went. When you speak to yourself, there's no fear of mistakes. You can relax, experiment, and build your flow. Another great method is shadowing. That means listening to a short piece of audio and repeating it at the same time, matching the rhythm and tone. You can use podcasts, movie clips, or YouTube videos. It's like singing along with the language. The goal isn't to copy perfectly, but to train your tongue to move with English rhythm. And remember, small daily practice beats big, rare practice. 5 minutes a day of real speaking does more than 2 hours of silent study once a week. Fluency grows with consistency, not intensity. The more you speak, the more your mouth learns what your brain already knows. And one day, without realizing it, you'll start talking smoothly, not because you studied harder, but because you trained like someone who actually speaks. Sounding natural in English isn't about using big words or a perfect accent. It's about rhythm, tone, and feeling. When you listen to native speakers, you might notice how their sentences rise and fall like music. That's what gives English its natural flow. Many learners focus so much on grammar and pronunciation that they forget about the music of the language. Think about how you speak in your own language. You don't talk like a robot. Your voice changes when you're happy, tired, or excited. English works the same way. If you speak every word too clearly, too carefully, it sounds unnatural, even if it's correct. The key is to connect your words and let them breathe together. Instead of, "What are you doing?" try, "What you doing?" or say gonna instead of going to. You don't have to use slang all the time, but learning how words blend will help your English sound alive. One way to practice is by shadowing short clips from movies or podcasts. Don't just repeat the words, copy the rhythm, the energy, the pauses. Feel how the sentence moves. When they stretch a sound, you stretch it too. When they pause, you pause. You're not just training your mouth, you're training your ear to catch the melody of English. You can also record yourself speaking and listen back. It's strange at first, hearing your own voice, but it helps a lot. You'll start noticing small things. Maybe you speak too flat or too fast, or maybe you sound shy. Once you hear it, you can fix it. And don't aim for perfection. Aim for connection. People care more about how comfortable you sound than how perfect your grammar is. The truth is, sounding natural isn't about being native. It's about being relaxed. When you stop forcing every word, your English becomes lighter, smoother, and more human. The moment you stop trying to sound perfect is the moment you start sounding real. People often think they need to study for hours every day to improve their English. But the truth is, small daily practice is much more powerful than big study sessions once in a while. Your brain loves consistency. It doesn't care about how long you study. It cares about how often you touch the language. Imagine going to the gym. If you lift heavy weights one day and then rest for 2 weeks, you won't see much change. But if you exercise just a little every day, your body remembers. The same rule applies to fluency. 5 minutes of speaking every day is better than 2 hours of silence, followed by a weekend of panic study. Micro-practice means short, simple, repeatable moments of English in your day. It could be listening to a 1-minute podcast while brushing your teeth, saying a few sentences out loud in the mirror, or writing a short message about your day. These small actions may feel too easy, but they're what build real fluency over time. The secret is not motivation, it's habit. Motivation comes and goes, but habit stays. If English becomes part of your routine, you won't need to force yourself to practice. It'll just happen naturally, like checking your phone or making your morning coffee.
One of my students used to tell me she was too busy to practice. So we made a plan. She would speak for 1 minute every night before bed. Just 1 minute. After 3 weeks, she told me something amazing. I don't feel nervous anymore when I speak. It feels normal now. That's the magic of daily practice. It makes English part of your life, not just a subject you study. So start small, but do it every day. You don't need a big plan or perfect materials. You just need consistency, those little drops of effort that over time become a river of fluency. Fluency is not the end of your English journey. It's not a finish line that one day you suddenly cross and say, "Now I'm fluent." It's a process, something that grows slowly, naturally, every time you use the language. The moment you stop waiting to feel ready, that's when you truly begin to speak fluently. People often think fluency means perfect grammar, a native accent, or never stopping to think. But real fluency is something much simpler. It's being able to share your ideas freely. It's when English stops feeling like a subject and starts feeling like a part of you. You don't need to sound like anyone else. You just need to sound like you in English. Think about everything you've already done. You've learned to face the fear of speaking, to think more in English, to stop memorizing and start using, to train your speaking muscle, to sound more natural, and to practice every day. All of that is fluency in action. You're not waiting for it anymore. You're already living it. There will still be moments when you forget words, when your brain feels slow, or when you make mistakes. That's okay. Every speaker in the world goes through that, even native speakers. The goal isn't to remove mistakes. It's to keep talking through them. Fluency isn't about being perfect. It's about staying in the conversation. So from now on, treat English like a friend, not a test. Talk to it every day. Make jokes with it. Argue with it. Use it in moments that matter to you. That's how it becomes yours. And when you look back someday, you'll realize something. You didn't wake up fluent one morning. You became fluent, slowly, one brave sentence at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, take a second to follow English Zone. It really helps more people find us, and it tells me that what I share matters to you. And if something from today made you smile or think differently about English, leave a comment. I'd love to know. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.